Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pac-Man World Re-Pac. At the end of the last episode, we finished up the first two levels of the Funhouse area, and in this episode, we are starting up level 4-3, which is called Spin Dizzy, and of course, we are going to be taking on the boss stage immediately after this level. So starting off, right off the bat, we have a little bit of a new challenge here where we have falling stair steps on these staircases here. They're pretty obvious to tell which ones fall because they are a little bit of a lighter shade of brown. So you kind of want to be careful of your movements here right at the jump. I love how they kind of start off with a little bit of a unexpected twist here. Even though it's kind of a small thing, it's kind of nice to see how they kind of switch up and add a lot more challenge to the game. And like I said previously, the challenging part of this game and the difficulty is definitely going to be or the difficulty in this game is definitely going to be turned up a lot more, you know, starting from here on out, especially in the next two areas. We have two more areas left of the game, and of course I would fall down to my death there. As I was saying, we have two more areas of the game, so we're kind of getting down to the wire here. We don't have too much left of the game to do, especially after this area is complete. And ironically, I would die again because I'm a failure. As I was saying, ironically, even though this is still definitely my favorite area of the entire game, but ironically, the next area is probably my least favorite, and I'll kind of talk more about that once we get there. But I kind of want to soak up this area a little bit more now that I'm kind of thinking about what's coming up next. And those of you that play this game, maybe you disagree with me, but I just feel like the next area is probably the worst of the entire game, just in my personal opinion. But as you can see, we are now utilizing the balloons, this time in the actual level, as opposed to just the bonus stage. And of course, I would take a nosedive right there off of that one. Alright, so I think this is like a new world record of how many times I can die and then just utterly fail this game in this episode. So I didn't really intend to do that, but it's just kind of happening, so we're kind of going with it. This isn't really new for anyone that's watched my videos, my Let's Plays. I kind of tend to suck at games. Even though I talk so much about how I love some of these games, I just sometimes suck at them. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of terrible sometimes. As you can see, the clown heads spitting the purple mist have made a return in this level, so I kind of mentioned that before, where that's, you know, basically going to be a common occurrence in the Funhouse area now. We have more purple mist shooting clowns, if they weren't creepy enough, and of course those glowing purple eyes aren't anything to look at either. And of course we have more of the beautiful swirling designed platforms here that are spinning. I know these platforms are a little bit hard to maneuver around sometimes, but they look so freaking beautiful. I just love that swirling design. It reminds me of like a, I don't know, like a peppermint, you know, design for a platform. It's very, very cool looking, and again, it's just the colors and like the designs of this specific area in the Funhouse areas, again, just makes it a lot more fun to play. You know, I know we just kind of went from a space section. I think most of the areas we've done already are pretty, you know, creative, like the Indiana Jones styled, you know, mine levels that we had before and the temple levels that we had in World 2. Were kind of unique as well, but this definitely goes well above and beyond. And I know I've already talked about that several times already in this area, but I have to kind of butter it up a little bit more. Alright, so I got a little confused there. Actually was not going in the right direction. We actually want to go in the opposite direction across these spinning swirly platforms. And as you can see, they have actually placed the burners on the walls this time around. So you want to be very careful on your jumps, because if you actually jump too close to the walls, you will get burnt to a crisp by those burners and most likely fall off and die. So again, a lot more difficulty in this level. And they're kind of, you know, finding new ways to kind of get, you know, kind of turn up the difficulty, you know, once again in this specific level. And of course we have more purple mist shooting clowns there, more clowns in the airplanes there. They're pretty easy to take out, but they can be kind of annoying because they kind of fly around your head. And of course we have the return of the cannonballs again. We saw that in the last level. That are firing at us as we're walking across a path there. And it is now time to activate this platform here that we're gonna miss and fail miserably at landing on. Alright, so now that we have taken this platform up to the top of this area, we're gonna go ahead and travel across these balloons, these nice little bouncy, rubbery looking balloons. Man, I can't get over how awesome those look. I have to say, the developers that developed this game and really took a lot of time to really upscale this thing, especially compared to the PlayStation 1 version. Like, and I can't say like too much negative things about that version. I actually never played it, so I can't really talk about how the graphics look or how the game is played, with the exception of seeing other people play it online. But I have to say, this remastered version just looks very beautiful. Like, they really took a lot of time to make sure that the graphics in this game, in this remake, looks so much sharper and better, and it just looks so amazing. I can't say too much about that, or I can't say enough about that. But now we're going to go ahead and use these bouncy pads we haven't seen in a little bit to bounce on top of this platform. We're going to hit this green button, and that'll activate these mallets, and that will allow us to actually get across those conveyor belts, since we weren't able to do that since the mallets were kind of in our way before. But now they are raised up, but they will come and smack down on our heads if we're not careful once we get over there. But now it is time to take on the maze of this level. Alright, so pretty similar to what we've seen in the mazes so far in the Funhouse area. Of course, we have more of those springy things that will kind of pop out and out of nowhere and kind of block certain routes that we might take in the maze here. And of course, we have more creepy clown faces, smiling at us. Again, more Stephen King's It type of vibes in here. And I know I talked about that in the last episode as well. I just can't, I don't know, I just love that movie so much. It's hard not to talk about it. But nothing too challenging with the exception of those springs, of course, but we've kind of seen that song and dance before already. We have more stacks of cards kind of acting as our perimeter, as well as those creepy clown smiley faces. So and I have to say, I'm not one to I know a lot of people kind of have a fear of clowns. I never really had a fear of clowns until I saw, I think as a kid, because I watched the movie It as a child, and was very creeped out about it. But when I watched it back as an adult, I kind of think it was kind of cool. And I don't know what that says about me or how messed up I am, but I don't know. Horror movies were always my favorite genre of movies. I just really couldn't get into a lot of other genres, especially I mean, there's some comedies I like, but the horror genre was just the most interesting and fascinating genre, for me, at least in my opinion. So again, I don't know what that says about me, but that's just, we'll just kind of leave it at that. But anyways, we have now cleared the maze section of this level. So that's the final maze, I do believe, of the Funhouse area. And now it's time to make our way back up these steps. And since we have opened up this path here, allowing us to kind of carefully navigate around these mallets, even though I just got smacked right in the head by that one. And you would actually think that would be an instant death, knowing how large those mallets are, but it's actually not. It just takes one hit point. It's kind of surprising, but I guess I'll take it. As many times as I've died in this episode already, I think it's, that's enough times for me to die. Alright, so now that we have made it across this other platform using that elevator, we're going to go ahead and make our way over here, following this trail of Pac dots, taking out this enemy that is in our way right now. We have a little sneaky chest right there. I think it just had an extra piece of health there, but sometimes they'll kind of hide chests off in like the distance where you kind of have to, and I've already kind of missed a couple of those locations in some of the previous levels, but sometimes they will tend to hide chests where, like, if you don't walk out a certain distance, in the frame, it can be pretty easy to miss some of these chests. So you definitely want to be careful, because some of those might hold, some of your fruits or pack letters if you're not careful enough. And like I said, I've already kind of missed some of the previous levels, how to go back and backtrack and go and find them. But right there we had another trail of Pac dots, and that was kind of nice. I like how they sometimes give you a trail of Pac dots that leads you all the way back to a section that you need to go and backtrack and make your way back around to. That's kind of nice as like a time saver thing, so you don't have to kind of waste some more time jumping across those platforms and making your way all the way back in that direction. Since we had to go back this way anyways, it's kind of nice they gave us that little autopilot type of mechanic where we just kind of Pac-Man just kind of eats those Pac dots and just kind of flies back over where he needs to go. So I do like that they have that mechanic as well, being able to kind of travel a lot faster. And again, it's just a nice little time saver there. But now we went ahead and collected the M, so we're just about done with our Pac letters, or I guess Pac-Man letters, I should say, in this level. A few more Pac dots here to find, or here to collect. So we're gonna go ahead and collect these suckers right here. And we have some nice, of course, some more nice little spinning, swirly looking platforms. Man, there's the A already. We're almost done. Alright, so now that we have died a numerous amount of times, and I think that's hopefully going to be the last time in this level. I can't really guarantee that. I kind of failed to prove that I'm, you know, an expert at gaming at this point, so I apologize for anyone watching this. This is probably very embarrassing, but anyways, we're going to move right along anyhow, because I don't give up. I can suck at games all day long, but if I'm having a fun time and enjoying the game, and the level design and all of the different mechanics, I don't really care. It's just my personality. It's who I am, and just who I'm gonna be. It's who I desire to be. That's just how it is. But anyways, enough of my my weird rambling. We're gonna go ahead and hit this green button. So this part right here can get kind of challenging because you have to balance yourself between not falling through the gaps on those platforms and also getting onto these green buttons that you need to hit. And of course that would happen right there. And then of course we have the burners there on the wall. So you got to be pretty quick here. Alright, so now that we have tried not to die as many times as possible there, we're going to finally make our way back onto this moving platform right here. And we're going to continue collecting these Pac dots and make our way all the way up to the very top. And as you can see, we have another Pac family member, Pac Sis. Yay, you rescued me, Daddy. I'll be outside. Be careful, Dad. So we finally got the key to our Pac Sis, which is actually Pac-Man's daughter. Alright, so now we can actually go back down here since we have the grapefruit, and we can collect the final Pac-Man letter, the letter N. Alright, so now that we are back at the top, this is the very end of the level. We have everything that we need to collect in this level, so it is now time to finish it off and take on the final bonus stage of the Funhouse Area. Alright, so same song and dance as before. Of course, we're bouncing on top of these very bouncy, rubbery looking balloons. I still can't get over how cool these things look. I know I sound repetitive, but that's the way I roll. I'm a repetitive type of person, I guess. But now we're going to use these, of course, we're going to use these bouncy pads to get back up on top of them. We see, hopefully I won't fail this. That would be an epic fail if I somehow cleared the first two bonus stages, but fail this one. That would be very, very sad. But it looks like we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and collect all of our 19 fruits, and we're going to get the heck on out of this level. I'm going to miss it, though. I have to say I'm savoring this level before the next one because I just can't stand the next area. Can't stand it. All right, so we have a new total high score, and it is now time to travel back to the hub world, of course, back at Ghost Island. We will check in with Pac Sis, and we have now unlocked the Clown Prix episode, and that is actually going to be the boss episode of the Funhouse area. We have everything done there. Let's see if we can find Pac Sis. Where is she at? Oh, she's right here behind the, or just sitting on this little bench. Look how cute she looks. She's just all a little adorable. That's my dad, always coming to the rescue. Let's rescue the others. That sounds good, daughter. I'm so awkward. But anyways, it is now time to finally take on 4-4, the Clown Prix episode. This is the boss stage of this section. And I have to say, this is the most unique and creative boss stage of them all because, well, I'll just kind of show you. Alright, so we have a little bit of a little mini level here like we typically do right before a boss fight. But this time, Pac-Man, there's a race car. Hop in and hit A to accelerate. So yes, we are taking things to the road. We are now officially racing towards the boss. So yeah, there's actually, so technically the boss is a race. So what we have to do here is kind of, you know, going over the controls. So basically X is to brake. A, of course, is to accelerate. You can actually go in reverse with RB. I highly recommend against doing that because, well, you'll kind of see here. I love his face there. There he is, that evil SOB. Ugly as ever, man. This guy really needs some dental work or something. I know he's mechanical, but he can figure it out. What do we have here? Man, these guys are creepy looking. But yes, this is our boss. of the Funhouse area. It is the Clown Racers. So we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 11. So there's 11 Clown Racers we have to actually take on in a, I guess, Mario Kart style of a boss in this game. I have to say, when I first played this game and played this boss section, I was very surprised, confused, but in love at the same time. So obviously this is not a typical boss you would, face off with in this game. But I have to say, I love this idea. Having like a little mini game type of like racing section as like a boss stage. I don't know why. I like it. Like I think this may be controversial, and I don't know, other opinions of this, and this is probably not, a lot of other people's favorite boss stage, but this has to be one of my favorite. Not my all-time favorite. My favorite was the King Galaxian fight we just did in the last section, or the space area. But this one comes like it comes to like a close second. I don't know. It's surprisingly like refreshing. And of course, when you collect the power pellets, your car kind of turns into this like yellow color, and you kind of it gives you like a little bit of a speed boost, which is kind of nice. Whoa, we almost fell off there. But yeah, so kind of like a little bit of a different take on a boss stage in this level, or this game, but I really like it. The main thing here, obviously, you want to get in first place, and you want to make sure, of course, you don't fall off those gaps once you get into like a tight corner there. So you kind of have to, I guess, drift a little bit. The controls are actually not too bad in this race too. I have to say, like, for this being like kind of like a kind of an unexpected kind of off function of this game, where you typically wouldn't be in like a car or anything like that, compared to what we've already seen so far. The controls and like how it works is pretty straightforward and not too bad. It doesn't feel too awkward. Some corners can get kind of tight where it feels like you have to kind of turn pretty quickly, but overall it's a nice little spin on a kind of a boss stage here. But we're kind of getting closer to the end here. Yeah, you basically just want to keep a nice lead here. For the most part, it is pretty easy, especially if you keep picking up those power pellets and gaining quite a bit of a boost here. It's pretty simple to come in first place and not really lose this. So yeah, no fighting involved at all in this boss stage. We actually will not be doing any, that nice little, I love how the statues of Pac-Man are kind of right out there in the distance there. But yeah, not really too bad here. It's just a simple race, and as you can see, we're kind of getting near the end here, and we have finished in first place. Yeah, I love this boss stage. No fighting actually involved, but nice little refreshing change for a what would be considered not a typical boss stage in this game. At the end here, we want to make sure we pick up as many fruits as we can to kind of build up that score, even though I don't really care about the score, but I still want to pick up as many fruits as I possibly can. And I thought I was actually stopped there for a second, but we had a chance to go back to those other fruits. But we have cleared the boss stage for the Funhouse area, so very nice. Again, very cool little new mechanic there, so I definitely appreciate that. All right, so we're nearing a total of 500,000 total points for our high score. But that's going to do it for the Funhouse area. So, as you can see, we have finished the Funhouse area, Area 4. That means it is now time to take on Area 5, and this is it. This is my least favorite of the game. Go ahead and use this warp panel here, so we can get over there, and there it is, the dreaded factory area. I'm not quite ready for... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm not quite ready for this, but we have to do it because it is the next area of the game. Of course, we have, 3 more levels and another boss stage. I do like the boss in this level, or this area, but we'll kind of talk about that once we get there. But next time on Let's Play Pac-Man World Re-Pac, we are going to be taking on level 5-1 and starting up the factory area. I'm dreading this already. Yeah, it's going to be bad. But anyways, we're taking it on in the next episode. So until then, I will see you later.